Well, good morning and thank you for joining us. Today I'm proud to stand alongside city leaders and share with the public our administration's priorities for the coming year that will further strengthen our city's future. For the past 7 years, our administration has endeavored every day to deliver on our promises and to tackle the city's most daunting challenges, and our work will continue to my very last day as mayor. As we enter the 8th year of the administration, our core priorities are enhancing public safety, increasing the quality of life, and building thriving neighborhoods across the city, supporting a strong foundation for Philadelphia youth through historic investments, and driving inclusive growth and economic opportunity to build a thriving economy that benefits everyone. These priorities will build on what we have accomplished together over several years. I must say I am proud of the progress that we have made. I'm inspired by the courage and resilience Philadelphians have shown, especially when the COVID-19 pandemic turned life upside down for all of us. And I'm encouraged by the people at the heart of what we do, the residents who serve their city as City of Philadelphia employees. The report we released today focuses on our key accomplishments and our priorities, but no report can adequately reflect the enormous daily contributions of thousands of public servants. Together, we have built a strong and inclusive economy that improves opportunities for all Philadelphians to reach their full potential. And I just want to talk about our public servants for a minute. When we shut the city down and shut down restaurants and businesses and schools, every single day our people went to work. Our firefighters, our police officers, our rec department leaders, our sanitation workers, our health department workers, every single day they never skipped a beat, and if they weren't sick, they came to work. And that's why I always wanted to make sure that we had a respectful relationship with our labor unions, with our labor folks, and we've had a successful run with our employees, and I hope they understand how much I respect them. We led the fight to fund innovative new programs that reinvest in Philadelphia's neighborhoods and our future: PHL Pre-K, community schools, and Rebuild. And Philadelphia has emerged from the pandemic as a stronger and more resilient city than ever before, in part because of these efforts. Furthermore, the poverty rate, while still far too high, sits at a 15-year low, and 41,000 fewer Philadelphians are living in poverty compared to when we took office in the year 2016. We have also increased the minimum wage to $15 an hour for city employees and contractors, while reducing business and wage taxes to their lowest levels in 50 years. But amid all of these great accomplishments, I acknowledge that there remains much work to do. And may I just add, as far as our fiscal condition right now with the lowest level of wage and business taxes in 50 years. We went from junk bond status, we are now an A rating on our bonds. When we entered office in 2016, the pension fund market value was 40%. It is now 60%, scheduled to be 80% by the end of the decade. And right now, if you look around the city, you will see that people are back on the streets. We have 30-plus new restaurants opening have opened this fall or winter. We have 70 new retail businesses that opened up in Center City, according to the Center City District. We just obtained the largest insurance company in North America's headquarters at 20th and Market. Our life sciences, our biosciences investments in the Navy Yard and in West Philadelphia have been historic. And we're very proud of all that we've accomplished, but we still have a lot to work on, and I know that gun violence has taken hold of our city. I mourn with the family of its victims, and I share our frustration as we seek solutions in the face of state and federal laws that too often prioritize the interests of the gun lobby over the lives of our citizens. In FY 2022 and 2023, we have invested $340 million in our fight against gun violence, which is more than any other administration in the city's history. We know that putting an end to this public health crisis demands a comprehensive approach, innovation, cooperation, and relentless dedication from those of us who are privileged to serve as elected leaders. As mayor, I promise to lead this effort with energy and determination for every day of my remaining term of office. For all its challenges, Philadelphia remains a city whose future is worth fighting for. I look forward to continuing to lead that fight. Next, you'll hear from several city leaders who are dedicated public servants and trusted partners in the work ahead. I'm pleased to introduce Police Commissioner Danielle Outlaw, who will provide remarks on our ongoing commitment to enhancing public safety. Commissioner.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us today to talk about some of the important steps that the administration and the Philadelphia Police Department are taking to make Philadelphia a safer place to live, work, and to visit. Let me be clear. There's nothing more important to myself, our leadership team, or the PPD than continuing to stem the tide of violence in this city. That's why we'll continue to keep our foot on the gas going into 2023. A few weeks ago, some of you may remember that we announced the redeployment of at least 100 additional officers to the 4 police districts that are currently experiencing the highest rate of crime here in the city. Gun crime. This redeployment of officers, which began on Monday, this past Monday, is coupled with a recently completed realignment of our Operation Pinpoint grids. Together, these measures will boost police presence and target high-risk offenders, while aiding potential victims in the 4 police districts that cumulatively accounted for 43% of all gun violence in Philadelphia last year. This is the 22nd district, 24th, 25th, and 39th districts. Increasing uniform presence in Philadelphia's more challenged neighborhoods is key. We know that partnerships with our local community members and organizations lead to increased collaborations with the people that we serve. And more specifically, the people who have firsthand knowledge of the complex problems facing their own neighborhoods. In addition, this year, PPD will continue to work towards strengthening existing relationships with our local, state, and federal partners. You hear me talk about these partnerships quite often. These relationships have afforded the opportunity to not only have access to additional personnel and technology and resources and equipment, but they've also led to additional avenues of investigation and prosecution that are not always available at the local level. We're also working toward continued improvements to our clearance rates by making additional investments in our Office of Forensic Science. Of course, like most police departments across the country, we continue and we will still continue to deal with staffing challenges. However, in 2023, I'm pleased to report that we are on track to add at least 4 police academy classes, which should bring a minimum of 150 new officers to our ranks. Again, as the mayor mentioned, we know that there's plenty more work left to be done, but along with our partners, we remain confident that we're moving in the right direction. And I think that's evidenced by, if you want to look at the numbers today, the decreases that we're still continuing to experience that shows us that we're doing something right and we're moving forward in the right way. Making a sustainable impact requires doubling down on our targeted efforts to reach the small percentage of individuals who are most likely to commit or become victims of gun violence. Myself and our entire department remain steadfastly committed to doing our part to ensure that our beautiful city reaches its collective goals. With that, I thank you for listening today, and I'm going to bring up Managing Director for the City of Philadelphia, Mr. Tumar Alexander.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Commissioner Holdo. As we continue to enhance public safety throughout Philadelphia, we will continue to prioritize building thriving neighborhoods and enhance a quality of life for all residents. Reinvesting in neighborhoods and improvements is the cornerstone of this administration. This work is around us in our daily lives. For example, it's in the parks and recreation centers we've renovated through rebuild. It's in tens of thousands of housing repairs. It's in the almost completed bike share network with new miles of bike lanes added each year. It's in the relaunch of street sweeping all across the city and reimagine and renovated roads across the city. Neighborhoods drive when neighbors can drive. That's why we focused on reducing homelessness by 22% since 2018. We've launched the Opioid Response Unit to save lives and rejuvenate communities impacted. We've installed the city's first neighborhood slow zones near 2 elementary schools to keep young people safe from motorists, and we funded nationally recognized eviction diversion programs and prevention initiatives to help Philadelphians stay in their homes. For the final year of this administration, we will continue to focus on efforts on bringing more transformation and stability to neighborhoods and homes all across the city. At the end of this year, 80% of low-income families will live within a mile of a renovated recreation center, library, or playground, thanks to Rebuild. We will address the urgent needs of vulnerable people by connecting 1,000 unsheltered people to housing, using funding from the National Opioid Settlement. We would also use that funding to expand treatment, outreach, public safety, and community development in areas hit hardest by the overdose and gun violence crises. And we will embrace the unprecedented opportunity presented by the federal bipartisan infrastructure law to transform neighborhoods, improve our local infrastructure, and support the growth and leadership of Black and brown businesses in our region. Driving starts at home, and ensuring housing stability and opportunities for residents is crucial to our success. I now invite Ann Fadula, the city's Director of Planning and Development, to speak to our Housing Action Plan and related goals for this year.
Good morning, everyone. I first want to say that I stand here proud and humbled to be joined by my colleagues as we talk about the work we're going to collectively continue to do to move this city forward. It's been a pleasure and an honor to serve with them during the pandemic and throughout this administration. So thank you very much to all of you. We know our greatest resource is our residents. And we know that safe, affordable housing is essential for their safety, health, and economic stability. Every resident deserves to live in a quality neighborhood. Unfortunately, our nation is in the midst of a long-standing housing crisis, and federal resources to address this crisis have dwindled significantly. However, we are not letting that fact stop us here in Philadelphia. Mayor Kenney has made unprecedented local investments in housing and spearheaded the development of a housing action plan, which promotes the development and preservation of housing at all levels of affordability. Since 2018, when the action plan was released, our city has preserved and produced more than 48,000 housing units. In addition, over 46,000 households received $300 million in rent assistance during the pandemic. We are not stopping now. Far from it. Over the next year, Philadelphia will invest $184 million in housing and neighborhood services. We will help 900 families afford their first homes and build and create wealth. We will make 4,500 major home repairs and modifications that make it possible for seniors and people living with disabilities to stay safe and independent in their homes. We will produce 2,000 units of permanent affordable housing. We will support at-risk tenants and small landlords by preventing evictions. We will not stop until every household in Philadelphia is affordably and safely housed. I'd now like to introduce Vanessa Garrett Hartley, the city's Deputy Mayor for Children and Families. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ann. I'm pleased to discuss the mayor's priorities in investing in future generations. These priorities reflect the mayor and the administration's commitment to lifelong learning, starting with our youngest learners in pre-K to our programs in adult education and older adults. During fiscal year 23, we will continue our PHL pre-K program by providing free, high-quality pre-K programs for 3- and 4-year-olds. Since the start of the program in 2017, we've reached over 13,000 young learners. Our goal is to reach 15,000 young learners by the end of this year. We're pleased to continue our work in the community schools, where we are focused on supporting attendance goals and strengthening families and school communities. We're particularly excited about the 3 new community schools that started this academic year. Our partnerships with community organizations help to sustain and strengthen communities. Last school year, community schools, in coordination with Philip Budnitz, distributed over 375,000 pounds of food to communities. For our young adults and post-secondary learners, the city plans to fund an additional 850 Cato scholars at the Community College of Philadelphia. This scholarship program provides free tuition, supportive services, and basic needs assistance to adult learners in Philadelphia. Finally, we're pleased to promote and continue our Next Level Learning Hotline, where folks can call one number, 1-833-750-5627, for information about adult education and other career learning opportunities. These multiple investments demonstrate the mayor's commitment to education and to lifelong learning. We know that education is the key to the reduction of poverty and to economic and community stability for our future generations. Now I'm pleased to introduce Ann Nadal, our Director of Commerce. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Vanessa. It is an honor to join city leaders and Mayor Kenney to share the administration's vital priorities for the coming year that will strengthen the city's future. For the past 7 years, under the Kenney administration's leadership, the Department of Commerce has worked diligently with our economic development partners to build a stronger, more inclusive, and equitable economy with opportunities for all of our residents and all of our businesses. A few of these many initiatives include distributing $33 million for COVID-19 business relief through multiple programs focused on supporting small and minority-owned businesses, launching the Business Resource Finder to aid small businesses and entrepreneurs, ensuring business and wage taxes remain at their lowest level in 50 years, as Mayor Kenney alluded to earlier, promoting a comprehensive, inclusive growth strategy to drive equitable economic growth across the communities in Philadelphia, launching the innovative Philadelphia Business Lending Network Incentive Grant Program to increase access to capital for micro-entrepreneurs with historically disadvantaged ownership, establishing the Boost Your Business Fund to build the capacity of minority-owned businesses. In its first year, we provided $50,000 forgivable loans to 22 businesses ready to scale by obtaining new contracts, increasing revenue, and creating jobs. Awarding $900,000 to 40 organizations through the Corridor Safety Enhancement Grant for community-based organizations to implement projects on business corridors. And standing up the Philadelphia Taking Care of Business, or TCB, Clean Corridors Program, expanding the commercial corridor cleaning efforts and creating jobs. Since its inception, that program has gone from supporting 49 commercial corridors to 85. Looking forward to the year ahead, we will continue to focus on driving inclusive growth and economic opportunity to build a thriving economy that benefits everybody. We will do that by the following: continuing wage and business tax reductions, building on the success of the Inclusive Growth Coalition, partnering with civic and private sectors to supercharge our ongoing efforts to grow wealth in Black and brown communities through diverse business opportunities in support of the bipartisan infrastructure law, continuing to work with the partners at all of our chambers of commerce and across academia, banking, and government to maintain the impressive growth in the life sciences and gene and cell therapy sectors, where our region has become an international leader. Continuing to work with our partners to promote Philadelphia as a destination to visit, live, and open a business, supporting equitable business growth and streamlining business operations, continuing to embed racial equity as an explicit government principle across all economic policies, services, and operations. We are committed to making Philadelphia more economically competitive by growing businesses and jobs in order to increase opportunities and improve equitable outcomes and quality of life for all Philadelphians. And together we will continue our shared vision for Philadelphia to be a dynamic, diverse city with a thriving economy that benefits all of its residents while also investing in its bright future. And finally, to Mayor Kenney, thank you for your leadership, compassion, and dedication to helping all Philadelphians and all of our businesses reach their fullest potential through our shared values of equity and opportunity. Thank you.
Mayor, Jeff Wolf from Fox 29, Philadelphia.
Yeah, I know. Okay, yes, I do.
Mayor, in July you indicated that you were looking forward to the day when you did not do this job.
Right.
Later you said that you misspoke. Do you believe are you concerned that the public believes that you're not all that engaged, that you're no longer particularly interested, and this is a pushback against that perception?
No, not at all. We just want to make sure that people understand that even though this is the last year, we're continuing to make investments as we did in the first term and in the last 3 years. Part of the problem that we had to deal with in the first 2 years of this term is that we were kind of had pay our attention to many other things, including the pandemic and the civil unrest, police reform, Donald Trump as president. There's lots of things that were going on in the last 2+ years that kind of diverted some of our attention to many of the core things we want to do. We want to just make sure people understand we're still dedicated to the core things we've been doing, and we'll continue doing it till the end of 2023.
Are you still engaged?
Absolutely.
Do you still want this thing?
After July 4th, I went to work the next day, and the day after, and the day after that, and the day after that, and I've been working ever since, and will continue working till my last day in office. I love being mayor. That night was not a pleasant evening, and we had a difficult situation, and that should be the end of it. And if that's the only thing that you raise over 7 years of this administration, then I think we're probably doing a pretty good job.
Are you concerned that gun violence and the number of people who have been killed in the city by guns during the time you're here will overwhelm your legacy no matter what happens?
My legacy is not for me to determine; it's for history to determine. And I think there's many. This is a difficult situation and something I wish would never happen. That we weren't in this situation, but I think that the things that we've done are long-lasting and will have a long-lasting effect. And let my legacy be judged, however it's judged. Yes. I'm sorry. You're with.
With regard to child care programs, the programs that you've initiated, each year you've actually increased the locations and the
Yes.
programs that are. Will that continue this year as
Yes.
well?
Yes, ma'am.
It will be expanded again.
Yes, ma'am.
And also with regard to housing and the programs that will be available, have those people or those areas been identified already, or will there be a selection process starting when?
I'm sorry, the acoustics in this room are horrible, particularly if you wear hearing aids. So I think your question was, has everybody been identified who's going to, no. Yes, so their application process is open, continues to be open for basic system repair, for the AMP program, which is if you need some disability kind of improvements to your home. Also, turn the key applications, we'll start to be taking those shortly. We will continue to do RFPs for housing funding, for production and preservation housing funding. So there's a lot of open processes still to come.
So the statistics that you predicted for this year, have they already been in works? Or is it
I would say some are in the works and some are yet to come.
okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
There's been a sense on the gun violence issue specifically that various stakeholders across the landscape of the city haven't worked together, perhaps as well as they could have. Can you talk a little bit about your goals for the next year in convening everybody that goes?
Our goal for the next year is to continue to expand the reach of these neighborhood organizations, these people who work in the community on a regular basis, to get them the additional resources that they need. And to help them all coordinate with each other. We stood up this program in a relatively short period of time. We had council's great help on appropriating a lot of money to do this, and I think that anything can be better, but I think we'll continue to improve as time goes on.
You're talking about the grant making program there. I was kind of referring to law enforcement stakeholders.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
district attorney, feds,
look.
police.
I think our law enforcement community has been working together, and I admire the U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI and the ATF, the State Attorney General's Office and his people, well, soon to be somebody else's people after next week. And I think that Larry Krasner is doing what he can do to make sure that we get the most violent people off the street. There are areas of reform that all of us had to undertake, especially in light of the civil unrest that we had a couple of years ago. So I think we're all working together, we're all on the same page, and there's no reason for us to be squabbling with each other.
And on guns, you've talked a bit in the past about sort of the enhanced run by state law on
It certainly doesn't help. It doesn't hurt, I mean. I think we're in a better situation. Well, Governor Wolf was terrific to us anyway, but Josh has a law enforcement mentality because of his current and now soon-to-be former position. Certainly happy that the Democrats are in charge. I'm not expecting substantial gun reform out of Harrisburg. I think part of our frustration is that 25, 30 years ago, the average handgun was a 6-shot revolver. Now we're dealing with semi-automatic guns that shoot 30, 40, 50 bullets at a time, and there's really no purpose for anybody to have any of that. So my frustration comes with possession of military-style weapons and those kinds of things. If you want a shotgun or a hunting gun or a gun to protect your house, there's no issues with that whatsoever. And when I was 15 years old, I never saw a gun, let alone knew where to get one. They're just too available. Yes.
Mayor, after the beginning of May, there's going to be a person who's expected to be the next mayor of Philadelphia once there. How do you feel you're going to be able to carry through with things once somebody takes over in the sense?
Whoever wins the primary will most likely become mayor. We are now setting up a system of transition to help those campaigns get the information that they need in a fair and equitable way. Whoever gets elected mayor, I'm committed to making sure that the transition is smooth. And I do believe that programs like the beverage tax and the programs that it funds are too popular not the tax itself, but the programs it funds. They're very popular with people, and I think it's going to be a hard time for anybody to reverse that, and I don't think council would go along with it anyway. That remains to be seen. But my commitment is to work with whoever the next mayor is to make sure that there's a smooth transition, because the problems that we're facing today will not be solved just in this year, and we're going to have to help him or her move forward.
How hard is it going to be for you to get the budget through this year?
My relationship with the council president, I think, and it's one of the other things I'm very proud of. We had a good relationship with council it's going to be for 2 full terms. He has been a pleasure to work with. When we disagree privately and we work it out. And the rest of the members of council, those who had left and those who are still there, respect them all and respect their point of view and their jobs. And I think we've had, compared to the last administration, I think we've had a totally different relationship. Good one.
On guns, I want to ask you specifically about guns. Will you ask Shapiro to press a 1-gun-a-month law?
I haven't had opportunity to converse with the governor on specific policy issues. I expect that after his inauguration, that we will be able to sit down and talk about a myriad of different things that are important to the city. Certainly, I've not discussed the 1 gun a month. What I really would like, just as a simple thing, would be reporting your gun stolen. That would be a really great start. And that's not anything limiting a person's ability to get a gun. It's just if you lost your gun or it was stolen, somebody steals your bike, you report it stolen. Why do you even report a gun stolen? So that is something that's more reasonable, I think, when it comes to the legislature, and maybe we'll be talking about something like that if we can get it done. But you're not going to get any kind of gun bans or anything like that.
So you don't think 1 gun a month is reasonable?
I don't know yet. I haven't had a chance to talk to the governor.
You talked about Krasner. During his time here, you seem to have had trouble with particularly his interest in and how he handles gun possession charges.
We've had we've had ongoing conversations, staff and ourselves, about these issues, and I think he's doing his best. And I also think that there's other parts of the criminal justice system that come into play here. It's setting a bail. It's what judges will throw out or not throw out, how long it takes to bring a case to trial, and what happens with that case. So there are lots of issues we need to deal with, and we work together. We're not fighting.
Thank you, Mayor. We have a question in the third row, but I want to make sure.
I'm sorry.
I have a question about gun violence as well as police staffing. I know the police department deployed 100 more officers on the streets in hard-hit areas with gun violence, but is that enough manpower to really address the historic highs of gun violence as well as increasing carjacking?
No, we need more police for sure. As the commissioner said in her presentation, we're scheduled for 4 classes. We've also had historic agreements and arbitrations with the FOP to allow for the civilization of some of the jobs that were used to be done by sworn officers. We were successful with our negotiations with the FOP and the council president with bringing on a core of people who handle traffic safety and traffic issues that don't necessarily have to be sworn officers, which frees up those positions to fill. We have to continue to recruit. And one of the issues that has been problematic, and we've gotten a waiver from the Civil Service Commission, is that we cannot recruit actively if we can't go outside the city, like New York, like the NYPD, like the Washington, D.C. police, like all the other departments in the country, or go out to other cities and other areas to recruit police officers. And we had to get a waiver from Civil Service Commission to do that, but we really need that. I would like to see that changed. You can't go to college campuses around the country. You can't go to military bases. You can't go to HBCUs. You can't go to anywhere if the person doesn't have an address in the city for a full year before we offer them a job. And that not only the police department, but that's every job in the city of Philadelphia. We need to be able to extend our reach and bring new families in to live in the city.
Has the police department recruited in other cities since that waiver took effect?
I don't know.
Have we actively spent money outside of the city? No. We are still heavily focusing on trying to get Philadelphia residents, but also at the same time trying to do the best to message that there is a waiver in place and that the residency requirement is not in play at this time.
Commissioner, while you're up there, 150 police officers through the academy. How many are retiring this year?
You know, I don't have the exact number, but I think that's a really good question, in that, you know, we can't get people in fast enough because people are either retiring, we're attriting. The good news is that the number of people that we've seen out on long-term injury or, you know, IOD, those numbers are slowly decreasing over time. But remember, there was, I don't want to call it a hiring freeze, but when 2020 hit, we weren't hiring at all. So at some point, you know, and even before I got here, I'll give a little bit of context. I mentioned 4 academy classes, right, in this upcoming year, maybe 150 coming out. Prior to my arrival here, we would get we're funded for 100 people a class. So in previous years, we would maybe say 400 people we were anticipating. So imagine not hiring at all for about a year, not having any academy classes. Then you have people attrit. It's a constant game of trying to play catch up. So I'm hoping that, again, as you know, looking forward into the new year, that we make ourselves more competitive. Again, the lifting, or at least the waiver for the residency requirement, was helpful, but we're going to have to continue to do things to look inward to make ourselves not only an employer of choice amongst those who still want to go in law enforcement, but look at how we're incentivizing those to come to the police department here in Philadelphia rather than other agencies. All these things cost money. All of these things cost money. We did get some money in the budget last year for a marketing campaign, but that doesn't mean that all of that money is available, you know, right now, today. So we're looking at how we're using our dollars and cents. Part of that marketing campaign does include the leaving outside of the city. But again, we still want to heavily focus on Philadelphia residents as well. Thanks. I didn't catch the whole question. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that one more time?
I would like to know about drug points in Kensington, and neighbors say that it's not improving, and, perdón, ¿puede repetir?
Sorry?
¿Puede repetir?
Okay, what areas will demand more money in your budget this year? And also, what do you think about the drug points in Kensington? Because neighbors say are increasing and nothing happens from the police, and they are demanding more action this 2023.
So as far as the budget goes, I mean, obviously, we're still in budget talks. We haven't finalized anything. A lot of our asks moving forward is around technology. Crime has changed. We have to adapt with the changing nature of how crimes are committed. And again, it's around staffing and manpower. When we talk about the redeployment of officers, the Kensington-Harrogate area of the city is one of those parts of the city where we are flooding more officers. Those are those districts that we mentioned. Again, that's high visibility. Having high visibility, hoping will prevent or deter. But also being there allows us to make more timely arrests so that we can present a thorough case for prosecution in a timely manner. So to those residents, and my staff and I, we've met with them, and they've expressed very clearly, it's great, you're going to be here, but what's going to be done? So to the point that was made earlier, it not only requires even more collaboration to ensure that these cases are moving along once arrests are made in a timely manner, but it's going to require enhanced communication, specifically in these areas. It's going to require an enhanced understanding of why we're prioritizing these areas so that in other agencies they also prioritize, and then also ensuring that Frank's people, DC Venor's people, our detectives are prioritizing these cases as well. So this is a full-fledged effort to not just prioritize so that we have a cop on the street, but to ensure that later on down the road, everyone's on the same page to understand the urgency behind what's going on in the Kensington area, and then also those other districts that have been heavily impacted by gun violence.
Wondering what would this post-mayoral life look like for you? Are you still going to be involved in politics, or are you getting out there?
I have no idea what I'm doing. I enjoy children, and I taught for a long time at Penn. Don't know if that's something in my future, but I really would like to do something with kids. I think that giving children the opportunity to have experiences that they would never normally have changes their trajectory of their life. I remember when I was, this is a little bit of a story, but when I was a freshman in high school at St. Joe's Prep, they took us to the Walnut Street Theater to see the Alvin Ailey Dance Company. And my parents probably would have never taken me to see that particular event, but at the event was a soloist named Judith Jameson, and she danced a solo piece, and it was the most, she looked like she was 6'7". I never saw anybody move like that so beautifully, and it was a life-changing experience for me. It's nice that Judith lives in Philadelphia still. But that's 1972, 73, and I still remember the impact that had on me. If we could do something maybe in my next life to get kids from neighborhoods around the city into those type of experiences, you don't know what it's going to do to change them. How they're going to look at things differently when we're in a museum or in a live performance or have the opportunity to do things that they normally wouldn't do. So that's kind of what I'm looking at now. I don't know how that would take shape, but I really would like to do something with kids because kids are very rewarding. Politics isn't always that rewarding, but children are always rewarding. What? No. I'm not even there. I'm not looking. I'm not out beating the pavement for a job. I got a job to do between now and December of 2023. I don't know, but probably I'll be 65. I mean, I might. No, I don't know. I don't know, Jeff. You got a lot of questions, Jeff, don't you? I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I didn't think about running for this job until 100 days out of 2015, 100 days out of the primary. So I don't know. That's really what I'm passionate about, what I care about, are those little babies, are those kids. We went to a pre-K 3 weeks ago, and it was very interesting pre-K because it was centered on STEM, on science, technology, engineering, and math. And these are 3 and 4-year-olds. And what was interesting was they all had their own lab coat. So they would go in and they put their lab coat on to do experiments. And I asked the woman who owns the pre-K, have you been to the Franklin Institute or to the Academy of Natural Sciences? She says, no, we don't really have the money for those kinds of trips. That's the kind of thing I would like to fund to get those kids that experience.
We have one last question here, and then we have to wrap up. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Shuri Darden, Mr.
Yeah.
While you were talking about kids, I actually had a question for Danielle about bottles, but I'll tie them two together. I often say that I have a 16-year-old. We're talking about the younger kids, but we also have middle-aged kids who are living survivors in the city are there things that you can even think about putting in positions so that they can carry on and we can work with the next administration to make things better for those kids?
Yeah, I mean, the example I gave this gentleman here was I was a freshman when I had that experience. I was 15 years old when I had that experience. The continued improvement of our recreation centers, our libraries, and our parks, the continued interaction with people on the ground with lived experiences and moms who have lost their own children, to really have conversation with these young men as to where their lives should be going and not where some of them are going. So we can continue to expand that. I don't have a specific program I can tell you about right now, but I do believe we have to continue to engage, and we have to continue to explain the consequences, the permanent consequences of some of their actions. Okay? Thank you.